thinking about making a move to Temecula, California? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about the 5 things you're going to want to know before you make the move to Temecula. So let's get into it right now. So number 1 is going to definitely be the heat and the climate in the area. Temecula is known to get really hot. Temecula, Murrieta, this whole region. It can get up to 115 degrees during the summer, and it feels really hot. It's not the same type of heat you would have, say down south where you have a lot of humidity mixed in. It's a very dry heat. But if you've ever been to, the desert or like the Vegas, for instance, sometimes it gets that hot. During the winter time, it's very mild, usually a very mild winter. At nights, it can drop down into the 30s. You don't really see it get much colder than that. I think it snowed in the last 10 years, probably snowed in Temecula maybe once or twice. So it does, we do have those freak snowstorms every now and again. But for the most part, it's generally a very mild climate, except for, I'm going to say August, September timeframe. Usually that's when it gets really hot. The other thing you want to know about the area, as far as the weather goes, because of the heat and it being a dry heat, sometimes we get wildfires. As a matter of fact, pretty much every year we get a wildfire. Some years it's worse than others. Normally the fire departments, they're so used to it, they get it under control really quick. But there have been times when it has gotten out of control and burned for like a couple of weeks. Usually it's not, bad enough. We're not seeing a bunch of structures being burned down. As a matter of fact, I can't remember any structures being burned down from wildfires in the area. But like if you live up in the hills in Temecula or Murrieta, during what we call fire season, sometimes you might have to evacuate, and this also causes problems with insurance carriers not wanting to insure at certain times. So, if you're moving into the area, you're going to want to check. One of the first things you're going to check when you buy a house is you're going to want to make sure that you can get insurance coverage before you put an offer on that house, because if in those areas, down in the subdivisions, neighborhoods, usually not a problem. But if you're up in La Cresta or Duluth areas, it could be a problem to get insurance. So you want to keep that in mind. Number 2 is Temecula has a limited cultural scene when it comes to different types of restaurants. Yes, there are all kind of different types of restaurants, but compared to major cities like Los Angeles or San Diego, if you're moving in from those areas, you might have to drive a little ways to go to some of your favorite places, but Temecula is known to have some really good restaurants, especially in Old Town Temecula. If you're looking for, the best places to eat, that's where you're going to want to go. Also out in the wineries, they have a lot of really good restaurants out in the wineries. I mean, in general, Temecula, has a decent cultural scene, but if you're used to, if you're coming from a big city, you might, that might slow down a bit for you. Just heads up. Real quick, if this is your first time to the channel, subscribe and tap the notification bell so that you'll be the first to know about the real estate market in Southern California. My name is Steve Batiste, and I'm the broker owner of Next Home West Realty, and we get calls, emails, and texts every single day from people just like you looking to make their move into Southern California. So if that's you, don't be shy. Give me a call, send me a text, or shoot me an email. I'd love to help you make a smooth transition into the area. So number 3 is going to be the cost of living in Temecula. Right now, the average home price is about $718,000 in Temecula. If you go up into Murrieta, you're going to go a little bit less, Menifee a little bit less, Wildomar even less. So if you're wanting to live right in Temecula, and there's a reason why people want to move to Temecula and not Menifee or Murrieta, even though they can get more for their money there. If you're, as far as cost of living goes, compared to the rest of the country, it's high. Compared to California, it's not high. So if you're living in Los Angeles, as an example, To buy a house that you can get for $718,000 in LA, it's probably going to cost you $1 million plus. So just keep that in mind. The cost of living is relative, to where you're coming from. If you're coming from, Georgia or, Michigan or somewhere else, yes, you're going to have a shock when it comes to home prices. But as far as wages and salaries, you're going to probably make more money in Southern California. Gas prices are ridiculous here right now. No explanation for it. Seems you would think that being closer to the coast, we'd have to spend less money for gas, but California has a lot of fuel taxes that just raises that up. So gas prices, car registrations are all going to be higher in California, but you're also going to make more money here. So keep that in mind. A lot of people get sticker shock. They see, oh my God, the housing prices are ridiculous. How can I afford to live there? But on the flip side, even if you look at just the minimum wage for California is like $15.50 an hour. In LA, it's a lot higher than that because people just can't afford to live on $15.50. But in Virginia, I have a daughter that lives in Virginia. Minimum wage out there is like $7.50 an hour. So, keep that in mind. It's the cost of living is made up for by our wages out here, which are going to be a lot higher. Number 4 is going to be your commute time. So if you're living in Temecula and you're working in San Diego, like down at one of the military bases, or you work in Los Angeles, in the morning, you're probably going to be at least an hour to get down to San Diego, and into LA, probably an hour, hour and a half, depending on where you have to go. They are working on a huge project right now in Temecula. In the afternoons, traffic coming up into Temecula gets kind of bottlenecked around Rancho California, Winchester Road exits. They're working on a huge project where they're widening the road there and like rerouting some traffic to kind of ease, people getting onto the freeway from Winchester Road or making that transition. So, you can see in the picture that I'm putting up now what the traffic pattern is going to look like. That should ease a lot of the traffic issues coming into Temecula in the afternoon, which is going to make the commute time shorter, which is going to make Temecula and Murrieta more desirable areas, which is in turn going to raise up the housing prices. So just a little hint, if you're looking to buy within the next, year or 2 years, the project's going to take about 2 years to complete. In 2 years, we should have a lot easier flow of traffic into the city, which is going to make it more desirable. I never thought I'd see the day where home prices in Temecula were going to be over $1 million, but we're seeing that all the time now, like just regular tract homes over $1 million. So if you're looking to make an investment and you're willing to make the drive every day, great place to live. If you don't want to sit in traffic, for 2-3 hours a day, maybe Temecula is not the place for you. And finally, number 5 is going to be the rural nature of Temecula. It is not big city living. Some people like that. Some people don't like that. Some people want to be able to get in the car and, go to a football game or a baseball game like right away. It is close enough to LA, Anaheim, San Diego to where, you can go to a game, no problem. It's you're not spending hours in the car, maybe an hour, hour and a half to get there, especially on the weekends or at night. If you're not looking for a rural environment, it's a lot quieter out here in Temecula than it is in, the big cities. Obviously, that goes without saying. But if that's not what you're looking for, also Temecula might not be the place for you. And even though there are plenty of shopping options in Temecula and Murrieta, I've never had issues finding things that I wanted or I needed in the city. But sometimes I would have to go, to LA to find certain things, or down to San Diego. Like we don't have. I'm a big photography buff, so we don't really have a camera store, a professional camera store in the city. There are some smaller ones, but nothing like you would find in like Los Angeles or San Diego. So overall, it's a great place to live. For the area, you're going to get a huge value for the money you spend. Generally speaking, gas prices are going to be a little lower in Temecula than they are in LA or San Diego areas. Not too much, but a little bit lower. Everything's going to be a little cheaper. But on the flip side, when you're living in Temecula, with the weather we have here, during the summer, you're going to have to run that AC. It's just no option. I mean, you could obviously sit in the house, when it's 115 degrees outside without the AC on, but it's not going to be pretty for you. So just keep that in mind. If you need anything, you have any questions, you want to know anything about the area, I know the area inside out, back and front. Shoot me a text, give me a call, or send me an email, and I would love to help you. Or even if you want to put a comment in the comments below, I can answer it there too. But thanks for watching.